bribery because like I said before, people come and they get the food and don't vote at all.
SGA president responds to giving out food during elections. She recently signed a bill addressing this common campaign tactic. Find out how this new law will affect future SGA elections. And nearly 200 dolphins have washed ashore in Florida. We'll tell you what to do if you come across one of these injured or dead mammals.
You never want to take it into your own hands and try to release those animals back into the water.
And later, you don't have to get a pap smear to test for HPV anymore. We'll tell you all about a new test for women. You're watching Nightly News covering the university community and the greater Orlando area. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Marissa Crick. And I'm Alexa Rodriguez. Today is Friday, April 4th. Thanks for tuning in to Nightly News. Election week usually means full bellies for students on campus, but can food influence the outcome of an election? Nightly News reporter Stephanie Wooster joins us now to explore the question of food at the polling place for SGA elections.
Thanks, Alexa. Well, it seems there's quite a few different opinions on this issue. So on last Wednesday, when the election results were released, a whirlwind sprouted up on social media that claimed that Weston and Sydney's victory was actually due to their use of food. Now, we talked to university officials and they said this isn't the case.
If you walked across the student union patio last week, you were probably asked a question. Did you vote for SGA president? You were likely offered pizza, a free smoothie, or other incentives in the hope of getting your vote. Even though students didn't need to vote in order to receive the freebies, judging from social media chatter after the election, many weren't pleased.
What's the point of having elections if it's just based on how much money we can blow on food and wackadoos and dominoes and whatnot? I mean, it's not really an election. It's basically a money-tossing competition.
However, one university official does not believe food had a big impact on the election.
Well, I don't think that food is a bribery. Bribery is such a strong word. Bribery means that there's a transaction that happens, that I give you something in exchange for something else.
We spoke with student body president Melissa Westbrook to see what her opinion is on the use of food.
I don't really necessarily feel like it's bribery because like I said before, people come and they get the food and don't vote at all.
However, this contradicts a bill that she signed late last February. According to Bill 4679, nicknamed the Food Ban Bill, food, drinks, and prizes may not be used in elections in the future. The bill goes on to say these items will be considered bribes.
Now, the food ban bill will go into effect for the Senate elections this fall. President Westbrook went on to say that she hopes food can return to elections in the future. However, she would ideally like the Elections Committee to handle all voting incentives in an unbiased format to improve voter turnout. Back to you, Marissa.
Thank you, Stephanie. Now, Julia Anderson is here to tell us more about an unusual mortality event affecting dolphins along the East Coast. Now, Julia, what exactly is causing this?
Well, Marissa, the morbillivirus has caused more than 1,000 bottlenose dolphins to strand along the Atlantic coast since July of last year. And nearly 200 of these instances have happened here on Florida beaches. I investigated the deadly virus to find out what exactly is going on and what can be done to help. A panel of experts from NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, declared an unusual mortality event for bottlenose dolphins due to an outbreak of the deadly morbillivirus. Only 5% of the infected dolphins are alive when they wash up to shore. The virus affects the brain, lungs, and immune system, making them more susceptible to secondary bacterial or fungal infections. In 1987, the morbillivirus caused a 50% reduction in these same coastal migratory bottlenose dolphins. NOAA experts say the animals that do survive the virus develop antibodies similar to a vaccine, so they won't catch it again.
We suspect that the animals that were exposed in 1987 have slowly started to die out of the population since it was about 25 years ago, and the herd immunity overall of the bottlenose dolphin population has dropped to a level where this outbreak could occur.
If you do come across a stranded marine mammal here along the beach, there's a free mobile app that you can download called Dolphin and Whale 911 that allows you to easily report these strandings by connecting you to your nearest stranding response hotline. Here in Brevard County, the Hub SeaWorld Research Institute is on call 24/7 for any stranded marine mammals in Brevard and Volusia counties. They immediately respond to the scene to rescue a stranded animal or to collect tissue for testing and properly dispose a dead animal.
And that's why it's really important for people that are on the beach, if you see a stranded animal, even if it's dead, to call authorities right away so that we can get out there and examine the animal and collect samples while the tissues are still in good condition.
For a link to download the Dolphin and Whale 911 app and for more information on what to do if you find a stranded marine mammal, you can visit our website.
Now, Julia, how will the virus stop killing off these dolphins?
Well, Marissa, this dock of dolphins actually migrated down from New York, and it brought the virus down the coast, exposing additional dolphins, and now it's in Florida. But now that it's springtime and they're starting to move back up the coast, NOAA experts told me they're hoping that all of the animals have been exposed at this point. They hope the virus works its way through the population and burns out in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, and that app seems really helpful. I know that if I was on the beach and was in that situation, I wouldn't know what to do, so that app could really come in handy.
Definitely.
Let's take a look now at the weather conditions here at UCF. Andrew Ray joins us live outside the studio with our first forecast. Andrew, it was hot and humid when I came into the studio today. My hair frizzed up within 2 seconds of walking out of my house. Tell me we're going to get a breeze sometime soon.
Well, actually, Alexa, there is good news for you. We have a breeze right now. If you look behind me, you'll see a little bit of breeze through the trees, and it's about 7 miles an hour. And actually, that has helped out a lot with the heat. We have a high of 86 today. But fortunately for us, we have a little bit of cloud cover now. It's mostly cloudy. Humidity is down to about 50% and will continue to drop to about 44% by 5 o'clock, which is when we're going to have our hottest temperatures. Also, if you look at the trees behind me, that's a source of a lot of pollen that we have today. If you're anything like my roommates, you've been sniffing and sneezing a lot with allergies. That's because we have a 10.4 pollen rating on a scale out of 12 points, which is contributing a lot to those allergies for this season. I'll have more information on that and the full weather forecast when we come back later in the show. Alexa?
Thank you, Andrew. I guess I'm going to have some Claritin standing nearby.
I have the worst allergies, so me too.
Okay, I'll bring you some too.
Still ahead on Nightly News, we'll bring you details on the Fort Hood shooter and the death toll, and find out how strong earthquakes on the Western Hemisphere.
And later, experts say suicide is the second leading cause of death for college-aged Americans. Nightly News spoke to one student affected by suicide. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome back to Nightly News. Thanks for tuning in.
Nightly News reporter Alyssa Kelly is here to tell us what's been going on around the world. Alyssa, you were telling me earlier that there's an interesting coincidence between a recent Fort Hood shooting and then one previously.
Yes, you could definitely call it that. What's interesting about the Fort Hood shooting in Texas is that only a few years ago, back in 2009, a shooting occurred at this same base. Wednesday's shooting left 16 people injured and 4 dead, including the 34-year-old shooter, Ivan Lopez. Lopez was an Army specialist who served in Iraq and was being treated for mental health issues at Fort Hood. Also shaking up the news literally is the 8.2 earthquake that hit Chile on Tuesday night. That quake also triggered a 7.6 aftershock on Wednesday night. Chile's earthquake only caused 6 deaths and light damage, which is surprising for that strong of a quake. I talked to Frank Cuyava, associate professor of geology at UCF, who told me that any earthquake above a 4 could cause serious damage. And then last week, we told you about conflicts going on between Russia and Ukraine. I contacted the White House that confirmed yesterday that President Obama signed a bill into law that will give $1 billion in loan guarantees to help Ukraine. And now more updates from stories we brought to you last week. Malaysian Flight 370 is still missing for the 28th day as searches continue. Police are now investigating the pilots and crew for any evidence that the plane was sabotaged or hijacked. And then finally, the search for the missing people from the Washington State mudslide that happened on March 22nd is still ongoing. Right now, 30 are confirmed dead and 17 are still missing. And that's just some of what's going on in the world right now. Let's take it back to the desk.
You know, it's really tragic to hear that that flight is still missing and now all of those victims from the mudslide.
Yes, definitely lots of tragedy in the world news today.
But it is refreshing to know that the earthquake didn't cause as much damage as it could have.
Most definitely.
It's horrible. Recent controversy is centered around vaccinations for the human papillomavirus, or HPV. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration recommends a better way to detect the disease. Nightly reporter Simone Davis tells us more on this new study.
Actually getting tested and staying on top of it and actually trying to prevent it can really help you in the long run.
UCF senior Jaslyn Bing recently got tested for HPV, a disease that affects more than 14 million people a year.
Seeing as how HPV can cause a lot of health issues, I wanted to make sure I stayed on top of it.
Prior to this year, testing for HPV consisted of a Pap test, which tests for all types of vaginal diseases, followed by an HPV test, which solely tests for HPV. However, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration now says both tests aren't necessary. Dr. LaCrystal Warren at Contemporary Women's Care in Winter Park says this will save women time and money.
They're suggesting that the Pap smear doesn't need to be done, that we can actually do the HPV test first. And if that is negative, we need no further testing.
Dr. Warren recommends all women, no matter their sexual activity, should start getting tested at the age of 21, as well as practice safe sex always. A regimen Jaslyn Bing lives by.
I would recommend that you get tested for anything that you possibly can, especially if you're active in any kind of way.
Dr. Warren says if you want to get tested, any OBGYN who gives Pap smears will automatically test you for HPV if you're under the age of 29. In Orlando, Simone Davis, UCF Nightly News.
Dr. Warren adds that HPV can also be found in men, but there's no test available for males.
Here's something you may not know. Suicide, the second leading cause of death among college students, is also the most preventable. Nightly News reporter Christy Yauk tells us why suicide is so common and how it can be prevented.
According to a national behavior study, the second leading cause of death among college students is suicide. The National College Health Risk Behavior Study shows that 11.4% of students seriously consider attempting suicide. The study points out that nearly 1,100 suicides will occur on college campuses this year. UCF student Kevin Sprague has firsthand experience with this. One of his close friends ended his life, leaving a legacy for those who were left behind.
Life is very sacred and very important, and you also have to think about who you're affecting, because you're not just ending your own life, but you're also hurting everyone else around you.
A few students told me they wish their friends would have just come to a place like this to talk about their feelings. One UCF counselor says communication is one of, if not the most important thing in preventing suicide.
The best thing to do is talk about it. So what I would recommend to any student who is feeling depression or anxiety is don't sit there in isolation. Talk to your friend, talk to a family member, and they probably are in a better situation to get you help.
Hoffman says the UCF Counseling Center offers a program called Question, Persuade, and Refer, designed to help people understand what to do to prevent suicide. In Orlando, Christy Yauk, UCF Nightly News.
Hoffman says the service is free for enrolled UCF students, and all you have to do is just walk in.
It is nice and sunny today in Central Florida. You never know what weather could be headed your way. When we come back, Andrew Ray tells us if clear skies and beaches are in this weekend's forecast.
And this month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Find out how students are using t-shirts to fight back. Here's a shocking statistic for you. The amount of women killed due to domestic violence during the Vietnam War is nearly as high as the amount of soldiers killed. That statistic kicked off the Clothesline Project back in 1990. The project raises awareness on domestic violence by encouraging people to express their emotions through t-shirt decorating. Those shirts are displayed on a clothesline as a testimony to violence against women. Brian Williams, a UCF victim services advocate, says the project is a great way for students to take a stand.
So it's a chance for people to come out, say something, have a voice, especially if they've never had one before. It's a chance for them to speak out against something that is an atrocity on campus, and they can do it in creative ways.
If you want to help bring awareness to domestic violence, Knights Advocates and Victim Services will be outside the Student Union every Wednesday this month.
If you are a fan of Plato's Closet, you might want to check out the new and improved Knights Pantry. The pantry has been solely dedicated to food items in the past, but its new renovation includes clothing. Nitro's Closet is located inside the pantry, where students can pick up clothing and shoes by simply showing their UCF ID. Donations are welcome.
And Nighthon is finally here. All semester, Nightly News has been covering events put on by the UCF community to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. This Saturday, UCF students will literally stand for the kids. Participants must stand for 20 hours for kids of the Children's Miracle Network. All of the proceeds will go to the charity. Check out our nightly newscast on Monday to find out Nighthon's grand total.
Now it's time to take a look at our weather. Andrew Ray has our forecast.
Andrew, tell me we're going to have a gorgeous weekend, because I was hoping to go to the beach.
Thank you, Alexa. And yeah, I would say we might have a good weekend for beach weather. Actually, if you look behind me, it's the sun has gone away a little bit since before, which might be good for you if you didn't bring sunscreen like I did. You know, just a slight breeze. You can see these trees are moving a little bit, 7 miles an hour. But speaking of the beach this weekend, the wind will be about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So keep that in mind. If you bring towels, they might blow away. If you take a look at our state map, however, you'll see that while we do have a high of 86 here in Orlando, we've only made it at about 80 degrees so far today. So possibly if the sun comes back out from behind those clouds, we may finally be able to get up to there. Tampa, we see, is 82, and Miami down in 83. So it seems to be a little bit of a lack of breeze here is keeping us from getting down to as cool temperatures as we have down south. Up north, you see Jacksonville is up to 87, which is quite hot as well. And then Tallahassee, moving further inland, it's 79 degrees. So hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of what they have. If you look at our national temperature, however, you'll see that all of Florida, as well as Texas and the south, are getting socked by a lot of very dense heat. In addition, California is coming out here. It's still quite hot, but throughout the rest of the country, we have pretty good springtime temperatures, including right here in this Appalachian mountain range. However, there was a weather issue up in Wisconsin earlier today. I was talking to one of our sports anchors, Nick Marciniak. He said that schools were delayed by up to 2 hours due to frost and snow. So clearly winter is still it still has a hold on that area. Now, if we go to our precipitation map, you'll see why we have those cooler temperatures in this mountain range. It's because of all this rain that's moving southeast down this way. Of course, that means it is coming towards us. We will get some of that later, but we'll also bring some of the cooler temperatures that they've been feeling. In addition, there are slight thunderstorm warnings for this area. So if you know anyone living there, make sure that they stay advised on what sort of conditions they have out there. Now, let's take a look at our 5-day forecast coming up. You'll see that tomorrow we should have 87 degrees as the high, 65 as the low. So like I was saying, good beach weather, no rain, a little bit of wind. It should be nice going into Sunday as well. But then Monday is where we'll get some of that rain that I was talking about. On Monday, 40% chance during the day for rain, at night up to 50%. So you can almost guarantee that you won't be going to the beach on Monday. In addition, Tuesday is where you'll get most of that rain. It's going to rain pretty much all day, but that's where we get the cooler weather. You see 59 is the low there. And on Wednesday, it should clear up, which will bring not only clear skies, but also that pollen count I was talking about earlier will be down to 8.9 from the 10.4 we have now. So that's a little bit of relief for those of us who are having allergies. That's all we have for weather. Thank you for joining me. Alexa?
Andrew, I guess I am going to get a chance to go to the beach.
Oh, I'm definitely going. Beautiful weekend.
I know, but I'm a little bit excited about that rain because I'll get to put on my cute rain boots.
Coming up on Nightly News, UCF is making a lot of money from the NCAA tournament.
And the men's tennis team won their last game by a landslide. Sports is up next.
Welcome back, Knights. I'm Nick Marciniak with your sports update. The UCF track team is in Gainesville this weekend for the Pepsi Florida Relays. The team enters the meet riding a high after a strong showing at last week's UCF Invitational. Before the events, the team honored their 4 seniors in their final home meet. We're going to start off here in the 4x100 relay where 2 of those seniors, Afia Charles and Jen Taylor, led the Knights to an easy first place finish. Moving on to the 100-meter hurdles, freshman Leah King finished 2nd overall and 1st among collegiate athletes with a time of 14.68 seconds. And it was a clean sweep in the 200 meters for UCF. Charles, Brianna Vaughn, and Janaea Bellamy went 1, 2, 3 in the event. Overall, the Knights won 9 of the meet's 16 events. The UCF men's tennis team is back on track after snapping a 3-match losing streak. Wednesday, the Knights faced Bethune-Cookman. The Knights starting off strong here in doubles play. Freshman Jesse Flores with the nice return to win the point. He and partner Amar Romick would finish off their Wildcat opponents 8-5, and that actually ended up being one of the closer games. The Knights complete the sweep with a 7-0 victory. You know, and I have to say, it's been a good NCAA tournament for UCF. Now, yes, I am aware that the Knights are watching the madness at home just like us, but fellow AAC member UConn will be playing in the Final Four on Saturday, and the Huskies' run means money for the conference. To be more specific, the NCAA rewards conferences for each game their teams play in. American Conference teams have played in 11 tournament games this year. Now, as a comparison, Conference USA, UCF's old conference, only played in a combined 8 games over the past 4 tournaments. This postseason alone is expected to add over $18 million to the conference coffers over the next 6 years, and thanks to revenue sharing, nearly $2 million of that could be going to UCF. That's all for sports. Back to you, Alexa.
Thank you so much, Nick. That is all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for joining us.
If you have a story idea or a comment about something you've seen on Nightly News, email us at nightlynews.ucf.edu.
Have a great day.